Good morning. This is Dr. Hansa Das, Assistant Professor, Department of History, Nirmala College, Ranchi. The topic for today's discussion is calendar art, and this is in continuation of the popular culture series. In my last two lectures, we had been discussing about popular culture and folk art, and today's lecture is in continuation of popular culture and folk art. Popular culture, as we had seen, is mass produced, that is, it is produced by the masses and produced for the masses. And things like folk art, calendar art, photography, etc., are part of popular culture. So today we deal with calendar art, the various aspects of calendar art, the manner in which calendar art flourished and emerged in India, and the various features it acquired gradually, how indigenous it was, and the manner in which Western techniques of art or calendar art were incorporated into Indian art. So today we look into calendar art as it developed in India. Now, Western art was becoming popular in late 19th century India, and there were many art schools teaching Western techniques and Western ideas of representation. And some of the new ideas that came to be seen in painting were single point perspective, absorption, indirectness. These were certain aspects which we could see in the Western art that was developing in the late 19th century India. So, from this, we could gather that calendar art, as a specific medium of interaction with the masses, was becoming popular in the late 19th century India, and it was basically inspired by Western art. It was inspired by the manner in which the West was portraying popular culture. The West was portraying art, or to be specific, calendar art in the context of popular culture. Now, if we come into India, the calendar art in India, so if we do not talk about Raja Ravi Varma, our analysis of calendar art would be incomplete. In fact, Raja Ravi Varma has been called the first modern Indian artist. He was the first modern Indian artist who patronized calendar art and has contributed a lot to the development of calendar art in India. He set up one of the first lithographic press, and he revolutionized the way in which art was distributed in India. One of the very important aspects or techniques which Raja Ravi Varma employed was that he fused Western techniques like perspective and composition with Indian subjects. This was very important. And the basic themes in Raja Ravi Varma's paintings were gods and goddesses, patriotic figures, and everyday life. These were the basic themes which Raja Ravi Varma concentrated upon while painting calendars. And you must remember that he fused the Western techniques with Indian subjects. Please remember that we had talked in our first slide that in the late 19th century, calendar art was basically Western art. And now when we have come to the early 20th century, we find that in Raja Ravi Varma's paintings, Western techniques have been combined or fused with Indian subjects. So we have certain paintings also, painting of goddess Saraswati, the very prominent one in 1896. Then we have the painting of goddess Lakshmi, Hansa Damayanti, and a lot of other paintings which you could find. If we talk about the themes of calendar art during this period, the themes were religious, patriotic, everyday life, nature. In religious themes, you could find epic themes, especially from the Ramayana and Mahabharata. And you could also find scenes from the Puranas. Then you have the images of gods and goddesses, as I showed to you the images of goddess Lakshmi and goddess Saraswati. Then we have patriotic images. For example, we have the portraits of national heroes and leaders in the past and present, like you have Shivaji, Maharana Pratap, then you have Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Bhagat Singh. Then you have themes from everyday life, common people and daily activities, like the milkmaid carrying milk or the Maharashtrian lady, and the common things that happen in everyday life. One important thing is that landscapes were depicted. Nature, the painters were very close to nature and they depicted landscapes. But here, a very remarkable feature is that humans were not depicted. Human beings were not depicted in these calendar paintings or calendar arts. So basically, the themes were religious, patriotic, everyday life, and nature. Now, we've been talking throughout about Raja Ravi Verma. There were other famous artists also, like Hemchandra Bhargav, Ellen Sharma, B.G. Sharma, Yogendra Rastogi, who also contributed significantly to calendar art. Now, let us look at the impact of calendar art. It was used for nationalist propaganda against the British. It was a merger of religion and politics. Religious symbols were used to represent political situations and meanings. Nation and religion both were conceived predominantly through Hindu symbols, which led to the alienation of other religious and ethnic groups. Then we have the creation of private space for worship, especially by groups like Untouchables, who were denied access to religious places. Then you have the commodification of gods. By identifying gods with status, caste, or religion, they became objects to be possessed. So this is also very important, that you are depicting the pictures of gods and goddesses, and the implied meaning is that you are commodifying gods by identifying them with status, caste, and religion, and therefore objectification of gods or commodification of gods was one major impact of calendar art. Now, we also find a change in the status of artist. Because calendars were mass produced and cheaply available, art was not seen as a production of the artist. And as works of art became reproduction of original rather than original, the divide between high and low art was affirmed. So that tussle between high and low art continued, and that was affirmed. The social function of calendar art became more important. What meaning was conveyed or what notion was being perpetuated. Then we come to the representation of women, that is the creation of feminine stereotypes on the basis of ideologies of Indian womanhood, nation, and culture. And we also find that calendar art influenced other art forms like films, theatre, advertisements, etc. Okay, now let us look at the criticism of calendar art. The first is that it used Western techniques, and as a response, schools like Bengal School of Art developed, which explored Indian art traditions and techniques. Then, secondly, it lowered the status of the artist. Easy availability made the artist no longer exclusive. And finally, male gaze. Women were represented as seen by male and according to their ideas of how women should be. So this is all for calendar art. I hope you find this PowerPoint presentation interesting, and hopefully more to come in the popular lecture series. Thank you.